My name is Emma Cahill and I'm here today to talk you through a few strategies to help children recognise and manage their emotions. So firstly, just a brief background about myself. I am a primary teacher and I've been teaching abroad for the last 7 years and I'm now back teaching in Ireland. And while I was working away, I took on different management roles such as leading the primary school, as well as coordinating the special education needs provision and being a child protection deputy liaison person. And throughout all of these roles, I dealt with many wonderful children in many different countries of all ages, all abilities. And I noticed the same issues arising day in and day out. So many children were struggling with just the day-to-day emotions of sadness, anger and worry. So I was thinking about that buzzword resilience that is everywhere we look at the moment, and I think there is a misconception that resilience is being stoic and it's hiding your feelings away and it's someone who is always okay, and that's just not true. Resilience is bouncing back from those feelings. It's still feeling them, but knowing how to deal with them in a safe way and bounce back. So this led me to take action. So I created an accessible book called Under the Mask for children to learn simple coping mechanisms for these emotions. So that's what I will be basing today's talk on. I am not medically trained and I will not be giving any medical advice. So if you are concerned about a child's mental well-being in any way, I urge you to seek help immediately from a GP or from the many amazing services that we have in Ireland. And I will be posting more information about that at the end of this video. But for today's talk, I will be sharing some of the researched, the tried and tested strategies that I have used with the children that I teach that will hopefully help some of you to guide them through what, especially at the moment, is a very difficult time. So I'm going to begin by reading the beginning of the book, where Ollie, our main character, recognises that he's feeling sad and he's feeling a little bit different and actively seeks out some support. So Ollie seeks out the superheroes that are down the road because they're strong and they never feel sad, angry or worried, which of course the superheroes challenge and remind Ollie that everyone feels these emotions and that it's very normal. So I hope you enjoy.
Ollie is tall and thin with rosy cheeks. He's 9, turning 10 in a couple of weeks. He loves water fights with the garden hose and laughing until milk comes out of his nose. You can see his tonsils when he starts to giggle, and his toothy smile is a big red squiggle. But lately, Ollie's not such a happy guy. He feels different and heavier, but doesn't know why. He wants to feel strong again to bring his happiness back, so he visits the superheroes who live down the track. I need your help, I need advice, everything feels all wrong. I want to feel like me again, please help me to be strong. I have these funny feelings that keep rising in my chest. I'm keeping them a secret, what do you suggest? Being strong doesn't mean hiding how you feel. It's dealing with your feelings and accepting that they're real. Everyone feels anger and everyone feels sad. Everyone feels worried. It's normal. It's not bad. It's important that we talk about it and learn some ways to deal. And remember, it's okay to feel exactly how you feel. But you are rugged heroes. You don't ever suffer. Am I the only one who struggles? You three seem so much tougher. Oh dear Ollie, how wrong you are. Everyone struggles at times. Life is not an easy road, it's filled with dips and climbs. Even the strongest athletes stumble, even the sturdiest materials break. Even the toughest cookies crumble, but it's all for learning's sake. We're superheroes who wear no masks. We do not need to hide the weather that's within us, the battles from inside. We're superheroes who wear no masks to hide or to conceal the foggy world of feelings, the heaviness that we feel. If we're feeling like a cup that has been overfilled, we activate our superpowers and let ourselves be spilled. We do it in a safe way that doesn't hurt our heart. You have these powers too. Let us show you how to start.
I'm going to take a minute just to talk about recognizing emotions. So, noticing and naming emotions gives us the chance to take that step back and make choices about what to do with them, how to act, and how to act in a safe way. So, it is widely known that the ability to recognize and name your emotions are critical in developing emotional competence. So, labeling our emotions correctly can also help give the child a language to communicate how they're feeling rather than acting out. So, how do you encourage a child to name their emotions? There are quite a few ways of doing this. So, the first step is to encourage children to think about how they're feeling by saying, "It sounds like you are angry, upset, happy. Is that right?" Or, "I can see by your face that you are," whatever it might be. Because if a child does not know what to do when they're feeling in a certain way, parents, educators can suggest socially acceptable behaviour models for them to express that emotion. So, for example, when you're feeling angry, you can come to me and let me know that you cannot hit someone because you are frustrated. So, naming that emotion and giving them a behaviour model sets them up for that social success in that area. So, secondly, we can help children connect emotions to the feelings of others around them. So parents and educators can talk to children about how they're feeling and what others are feeling and expressing that throughout the day. So another example might be, "You are smiling. I think that you're very happy with that toy." Or, "Look at Sophie and Sarah. They're laughing. I think they are happy playing together with the blocks." And thirdly, then you can structure activities which encourage labelling the emotions, such as increasing conversations around how your child is feeling, acting out different feelings, creating posters with faces, making them with Play-Doh, anything like that, and then giving that chance to discuss them as well. Another important thing I've learned through my years of teaching is to differentiate between feelings and behaviour. So you can teach kids to label their feelings. They can verbalise feelings of anger, frustration, disappointment, and try saying it's okay to feel angry, but it's not okay to hit. And help them to see that they're in control of their actions when they feel angry, and helping them to find safe ways to deal with how they feel. So that's something that the superheroes are going to show us now in the next little bit.
I love this quote. So feelings are visitors. This is something I talk to children a lot about, that feelings are like visitors. They come and they go. And we can't control our visitors coming in. We can't stop sadness, anger, worry coming in to our lives, but what we can control is how we deal with them. And this is where the coping mechanisms come into play.
So now I will introduce you to the 3 superheroes in the book who talk about how it feels to feel angry, sad and worried, and shows children simple coping mechanisms disguised as superpowers that the children can activate to help them to deal with these emotions. And I'll also share some practical activities that you can do with your child to enhance these.
I'm a pretty strong girl. I've got my superhero suit. I want to seem grown up and tough, like Grandad's leather boots. But I often feel quite angry, like a balloon about to pop. I feel my blood makes bubbles and they rise up to the top. My muscles feel much stronger and my hands curl up so tight. I need to shout and get it out. I'm ready for a fight. I slam the doors, I clench my fists. My face feels hot like fire. When people tell me to calm down, the bubbles just rise higher. Blaze remembers that she has special superpowers to help her when she feels like this. Blaze says, I pay attention to my breathing, breathe in and out for 5. I bounce or jump or dance, or shake and move and jive. When I'm feeling calmer, I brainstorm how I feel. I search for words to express myself and find safer ways to deal. Anger can be important too. It helps us stay headstrong. It helps us to see unfairness or help us right what's wrong. So here are a few beautiful calming strategies and breathing techniques that children can use when they're feeling overwhelmed. I like to introduce children to quite a variety of these, because if they choose one that they like, they're more likely to use it and they're more likely to remember it when it comes to a time they're feeling overwhelmed. So all of these are available on Google, but I will explain some of them just so you get an idea. For example, fire hands up there in the top right. They rub the palms of their hands together back and forth as quickly as they can, and just noticing the sensations that they feel, focusing on the strength and the heat that they're creating, and just bringing that mindfulness back to them and noticing how their body feels as they're breathing in and out. The hot cocoa one is to pretend you're holding a mug of hot chocolate, cradled between your hands, bring the mug towards your face, take a slow breath in, and imagine that you're smelling the comforting, yummy chocolate smells, and slowly, gently inhaling and things like that. All comes back to mindfulness at the end of the day. The hawk hug is where they bring their hands in and out, breathing in and out for 5 slow breaths, pretending that their hands are like hawk wings, for example. Down the bottom there, a very powerful technique is for grounding, is to ask children to name 5 things they can see, 4 things they can hear, 3 things they can feel, 2 things they can smell. That kind of an idea, just to almost distract them and bring them back to their surroundings and make them feel more grounded. So there are a number of these online, very easy to find, but here are a few that I particularly like, so I thought I would share these ones with you. When we're feeling angry, we have a lot of negative energy that can be put towards doing something destructive, and a lot of children tend to hit out when they're feeling like that. So Blaze encourages children to bounce, which is essentially to use that energy in a way that is safe and a way that's not going to hurt anyone. So for some children that will be putting on loud music and dancing it out. For some children that will be football, it will be running, it will be playing, whatever it might be. When they are a little bit more calm, a nice calm down yoga is a nice way for children to bring them back. I really like this one because it has positive affirmations as well, which they can say along with them, and it helps them to come back to a calmer state.
So once a child has calmed down, brainstorming and thinking back is really important. So with smaller kids, I have often used the visual of a remote control and actively pressing rewind and saying, let's go back, let's have a think.
When it comes to emotions that are influencing behaviour patterns, specifically negative behaviour patterns, I really like to use one of these My Choice behaviour charts. And what they do is you can draw it out in any way you like, and the child puts what's happening in here or how they're feeling. They're feeling angry, for example, can be drawn in here. And then this helps them to visualise what would happen if they made a positive choice and what would happen if they made a negative choice. For example, feeling angry, kick over the chair, hit my friend. What is the consequence there? The consequence is trouble of some sort, maybe a punishment, whatever happens in either the school or the home setting. If they then decide to go and speak to an adult, tell them they're feeling angry, walk away, take a glass of water, whatever it might be, and then the end product is obviously something more positive, that gives the child the ability to visualise their decision making and their choice making. What happens when I do this? What happens when I do this? And this does not have to be done retrospectively. It can be done in advance. It can be done with things like general decision making. So when I'm in school and this happens, what can I do? When I'm at home and I feel like this, what could I do? So it's giving them options for future times when they might be feeling this way. And it's a very, very helpful tool. If you have a particularly active child who learns by doing, maybe, it's also possible to do this in a movement sort of a way. For example, using hula hoops instead of drawing, and they can jump from one hula hoop to the next when they're making these decisions, and be able to go back to the start and try a different route and see how that works. But it's a very, very helpful tool for this kind.
Another lovely idea I've seen in a lot of different schools has been a calm down kit. So if you Google this or you have a look on Pinterest, you'll see a lot of different alternatives to this. and different ideas of things you can put in them. They're often sensory things. As you can see in this picture here, there's Play-Doh, there is a sensory bottle there with different colours and glitter and things inside of it. Books and things that can help children to calm down when they're feeling overwhelmed.
I'm a pretty happy guy. I've got my superhero grin. I almost seem as happy as when Santa Claus drops in. But I often feel quite sad, like my body's filled with bricks. I want to be alone when there's a sadness I can't fix. My head becomes all fuzzy and my lip begins to quiver. It's difficult to speak and my tears flow like a river. I've forgotten how to smile. All I can do is weep. My energy is gone and I just want to go to sleep. Nothing makes me happy now. I'm never bright or cheery. I've stopped playing with my friends because I'm just tired, quiet and teary. But then Crash remembers he's got some superpowers that he can use whenever he needs them. Crash says, I chat with someone close to me and share what's going on. I create something new for me, like a painting, dance, or song. I change what's in my control and wave goodbye to the past. Keep saying, this will pass. Remember, sadness doesn't last. Sadness can be important too, as it tells us we're in pain. It tells us to change something so that it doesn't happen again.
So, as we all know, there are so many benefits to talking when we're feeling sad or something is bothering us. And teaching our children this early in their life will help them so much in their future. So for me, it's about giving children the language that they need to express themselves for that. So I am feeling this way. I'm not okay, but I don't know how to describe it. All of the language and the vocabulary that they need to express themselves and tell you that something's not quite right. And be a role model yourself as an adult. Kids learn about their feelings and learn about how to express them by watching others. So show your child how you're feeling about different situations and how you deal with those feelings as well.
For older children, helping them to understand what they can control and what they can't control can really help give them peace of mind. So for example, I like to use the circle of control, which helps them to differentiate between these two things. So learning that if it's raining outside, they can't go outside, that is something that they cannot control and that is outside the circle. And that's something that we have to accept, come to terms with, make a different plan. Inside the circle, what you can control can range from lots of different things. For example, relationships, problems out in the playground. These are things that you can go seek help, talk to someone and make a plan. You can control it. There are things that you can change and there are things that can make it better. Just like Crash suggests, tapping into your children's creativity can really, really help. So that can be through art, it can be through music, it can be through creating games, books, anything that they like to do, that they enjoy to do, and putting that energy into something creative. I'm a pretty confident guy. I've got my superhero gear. I want to seem so brave and fierce whenever I sense fear. But I often feel quite worried, like there's butterflies in my chest. It makes me feel quite queasy and I cannot do my best. My tummy starts to flutter, my throat feels blocked by worry. Everything seems much harder and my breathing seems to hurry. I feel myself start trembling and then I start to shake. It's like I'm in a nightmare, but yet I cannot wake. It's like a drum that's beating fast between my bones. It's all that I can think about, so many big unknowns. But then Rustle remembers that he has superpowers that he can use to help that big uncomfortable feeling feel a little bit smaller. Rustle says, I rethink why I'm worried. Is there really lots to fear? I reply, I say, no, that's not true. That's what worry needs to hear. I relax by breathing deeply and using music, art and sport. And I talk to someone close to me for comfort and support. Worry can be important too. It can keep us out of harm. It can warn us about danger like a siren or alarm. So what I like to say to children sometimes is that our negative thoughts and our worries, now and then they like to tell us lies. And they like to tell us things that are not true, and they will try to convince us. We have often, in classrooms I've worked in, we have visualised our worries like a little monster like this, and we reply to it. We talk back. So, for example, no, that's not true. A very simple sentence, no, that's not true. Replying to our worries when they try to tell us things like, you're not good enough, you can't do this, you don't have any friends, you'll never be able to do these things. These are all negative thoughts and lies that our brain tries to convince us of. And it is very powerful to just turn around and say, no, that's not true, which can sometimes make that worry, take the power away from that worry and make it that little bit smaller. Teaching children to reframe their worries can be extremely difficult, but is very powerful if you can help children come around to this way of thinking. So the idea is I like to get children to draw their worry, and then we draw a new frame or a new anything and we try and turn that worry into a positive. For example, I have worked with children who would be very worried about their results on a spelling test. Just to choose something that might seem quite small to us can be something quite big for a small child. So I like to get them to draw their worry, and then we think together and we talk about how we can change that into a positive. For example, if I get them all wrong, I'll know exactly which ones to work on, and that will help me to learn. And they can draw that then in the positive. And the more often they do this, the more likely they are to change their way of thinking into this sort of a strategy, and also to help them to share with an adult. How a person chooses to relax is a very personal thing, and some people will choose painting, some people will choose music, some people will choose lying on the couch and watching a movie. Whatever it is the child does to relax, it's important that they can do this. The Zen Den here that I'm showing is quite a powerful tool. It's free on YouTube, and it is all about exploring mindfulness, getting to understand mindfulness from a child point of view, as well as stories and games and activities to change into a more positive way of thinking, and it's wonderful.
So I'm going to read the end of the book for you, just so you can see a little message of positivity that brings the book to a close.
So just like fire, water and air, my emotions have such power. It's how I choose to deal with them that makes them sweet or sour. But what happens if these feelings last more than a day? If the worry never stops or the tears won't go away? If it's difficult to smile and you always feel alone, or you feel like you are carrying all your problems on your own, just know that you are never in this world without a friend. There's always someone to help bring your sadness to an end. Talk to an adult that you trust and do not fear. Be honest about what's going on and let them lend an ear. Together you can find a way to bring the sun back out, to help you see the light and let them hear you shout. You'll feel like you again, you know. Feelings do not last. You just need to have some patience, as this may not happen fast. It might take time to gain control until the feeling clears, but you have strength to overcome your sadness and your fears. Your future holds new friends, delicious cakes and super games. You'll light this world up and shine so bright it might go up in flames. Thank you, superheroes, for giving me the key to unlock my ability for me to control me. I have powers within me to soothe and to heal, and I know that it's okay to feel exactly how I feel. I have dreams to follow and I have goals to score. I have battles I will win and I'll enjoy much more. So let's be kind to our minds and be our own best friend. This is only the beginning. This is not the end. This simple view of a self-care plan that can be shared with children and talked about with children. And it's just giving them an understanding of what self-care is and how to practice it and how to bring it into their daily lives, and just how the different things can help to make them feel that little bit better. They have a section for the body where you talk about healthy eating, staying hydrated, staying active, getting enough sleep, and it goes into the other areas then which they can pick and choose their own preferences, whether it's reading, painting, resting, all of the things that help your mind and body to work together and to keep us feeling good. Because of the pandemic, I decided to bring the superheroes back for a pandemic-themed short story, just to help children when they were inside during lockdown, trying to come to terms with all of the feelings that are associated with the COVID-19 pandemic. So if you'd like to access it, you can go to emmacahill.ie, and on the first page, you will see right here, Inside Feelings. If you go to find out more, you will have the option to download it for free or listen to myself reading it on a video here. It is a short story with the same characters from Under the Mask, same sort of themes. And at the end, there are a few different activities that the children can do related to the stories and related to the superheroes and related to promoting positive mental health as well. They can also draw themselves as the superheroes and express a bit of creativity there as well. There are so many books out there now that are promoting positive mental health for children, no matter what age they are. So I highly recommend going online, having a little look around at what's out there and giving them a go. If you have any concerns at all for young people that are around you or in your life, I highly recommend you go to the HSE website, where there are a number of different support groups and helplines and information that you can access.
I have 3 questions here that were sent in by parents, which I'll go through now. So for these questions, I called on 2 amazing women for advice. So I chatted with Fiona Brennan and Mally Coyne, who are experts in these areas. So I'm going to share some more information about these brilliant ladies here because I have read both of their books and they're just incredible. So I highly recommend checking those out. So question 1 is, how can I help my 4-year-old daughter cope with not seeing her grandparents? She currently has phone calls and videos with them, but is still very distressed on a regular basis, and it's difficult to explain to her why she can't see them. How can we help her understand at such a young age and help her deal with her emotions? So the first question Fiona asked me here was, I wonder how the parent themselves is feeling. She said that often the children are quite accepting of these things, but if the parents aren't feeling it, the children often overhear comments and pick up on this feeling. So she suggests keeping the atmosphere in the house as light and as positive as possible. For example, isn't it brilliant that we can video call Granny? I couldn't do that in my day, and things like that. Mally recognises how difficult this is for kids and how it can be really hard to explain to them, but she shares a few brilliant tips. So she says, be honest, first of all. So explain that the virus affects older people differently than children, and that the virus is more likely to spread when people are together in the same place. So by not seeing our grandparents, it protects everyone, and really letting them know that this is temporary and that we have an injection on the way, we have a vaccination coming that will help to get things back to normal soon, and they'll get to spend time with them soon. She also says to validate their feelings, so saying it's okay to miss them, to help them to share their feelings, express themselves, and letting them know that they're not alone. that lots of people are feeling like this. And she also shares a really good resource. So on her website, which I've shared already, but it's drmallycoyne.ie, there are some COVID-19 resources, and there's a nice book called Hello, I Am a Virus, which is a short picture book to help explain to children under 7. And it's a free PDF in lots of different languages. She also recommends to continue talking regularly to the grandparents. And something that Mally herself did was baking from the grandparents and leaving it for them, or making them a card, or anything at all that the child can be involved in. So the next question then is, my 7-year-old was always pretty easygoing, but since COVID he has a very short fuse. Anything can set him off. I try my best, but sometimes I find myself shouting back at him, which of course makes things even worse. Can you help me to help him and to stop overreacting myself and making it worse? So Fiona has mentioned some helpful points here for this one. So she says it's important to remember that this is not a normal time and some allowances may need to be made with regards to what happens every day. She again suggests to keep the atmosphere around the house as light as possible. She said she obviously doesn't suggest letting the child away with any negative behaviour, but when this happens, to assert it without being reactive. And to achieve this, she suggests that the adult tries to recognise triggers for themselves, and that the adult can get themselves into a calm place before interacting with the child. She also notes the importance of self-compassion here. These are very difficult times for everybody, so as a parent, to practice self-kindness to yourself, self-care, and praising yourself when you do react in a calm way without shouting, as it can be very, very difficult. Mally also reiterates this point and says it's important for the parent to take a step back and reflect their own response before they have a chance to help their child with their emotions. So she encourages the parent to figure out what is underlying in this behaviour and why might there be that short fuse. So rather than meeting it with shouting back and reacting in that way, trying to chat with the child when they are calm. So she gave a lovely way of starting this conversation, and she says, I noticed you reacted in such a way when this happened. I'm sorry I shouted back, I should not have done that, but I'm wondering, can we chat about what happened? If it's okay for you, it's not okay for you to react this way, but if it is okay with you, I would like to chat with you and see what's going on. So she recommends a worry box and a number of different resources that are on her website that we mentioned earlier. They're definitely worth checking out. And she also recommends a book called The Whole Brain Child, which I will share just now so you can have a look. So the last question here is, my daughter is 5 and has started to show signs of OCD. She's worrying about family members getting sick or worse. She's got little routines and gets very upset if she can't do them. Any advice would be very welcome. So Fiona's key message here is, don't try to fix it as such. Let your child know that you are interested to know more about it, and let the child talk through how they're feeling. By you trying to fix it, it's suggesting that the child has done something wrong. So trying to be curious without being too critical. She says that this behaviour often fades in its own time, and every behaviour has a purpose, and that purpose needs to be met. So by this child constantly checking, it's helping them to feel calmer, and it's her intelligent way of calming herself. She also suggests that as the parent, you allow yourself to be vulnerable and show your child how you feel sometimes and what you do to calm yourself down or feel better. So modelling those positive coping mechanisms. Mally has said that this is very common at the moment because the whole world is being told, wash your hands, don't be close to other people, and that this child likely had a touch of anxiety to start off with because 15% of children do. So she says anxiety is contagious, and she seems to have picked up on the threat of cleanliness that is all around the world at the moment. And the pandemic has likely shaken that child's sense of safety, like many of us. So she needs to feel safe again, and she's using her compulsions and avoidance to help her to feel safe. So Mally suggests an easy technique about talking to the child and telling that the child their brain is playing tricks on her by making her worry too much about COVID. But we can stop it playing tricks by not doing what it's telling us to do. If it's telling us to wash our hands 10 times a minute, We don't have to do that. She says this is very tough at the beginning because it's so strong, but she suggests giving those anxiety a baddie name, for example, like a gremlin, for example. And the gremlin is making you do that, and if you don't do it, it won't be as strong anymore. And doing things like drawing herself as a superhero so she can take the power away from the gremlin. She suggests doing up a league table and she can win against the gremlin, score goals against the gremlin, or whatever it is that she's into. And it's about reducing the amount of compulsions that she has. Other things to just check on is she getting enough sleep? Is she missing her friends? Are there other things that she's worrying about underneath this? So I thought that was very helpful. So that's it for me today, but I really hope you took something from this presentation and that it can be of some help. I will add my contact information here at the end, and I would love to hear from you with any feedback or questions or anything at all. So stay safe, everybody, and thank you so much for joining me today.